Good evening, Melbourne. Welcome to the show. I'm Michael Kuzilny. Tough times never last, but tough people do. And thank you very much for watching every Wednesday night for the last 5 years. We've had some amazing people come on who are daring enough and authentic enough to share their stories. And on tonight's couch, one of those people, Barry Dickens. I admire this man. An author of 26 books, a playwright, a teacher, but also gutsy enough to share his story suffering from depression. And what an amazing man, Alita, huh?
Oh, incredible.
You spoke to him in the break, yeah?
Yeah, the plays he's written, and he's done miming and cartooning. He's helping with the array of work that he's done is just endless.
Let's speak to the great man himself.
Very happy to see you, mate.
Happy to see you once again, mate.
Thank you. Thanks,
Fantastic to see you.
Yeah, what an amazing man. You're such a helper, mate. You do care about other people more than you care about yourself. You love people, and they call you the people's poet.
Well, Ray Martin used to call me the people's poet on Channel 9.
Because every week you're on.
I had a gig every week, and Ray would think of a poem like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas Day.
He's a top man too, isn't he?
No, he was very good to me.
He's one of my favourites.
I don't think poetry had been on television before that. Mm-hmm. So I'd learn the poem. It wasn't on the auto cue. I'd learn the poem, sometimes with a location. I did lots of poems on homelessness, and I'd go out with the Channel 9 film crew, TCN 9 in Sydney. And it was the first time I'd had poetry televised, and I really enjoyed it.
No, it's a real talent, isn't it?
Barry, what got you into poetry and what got you into writing books?
When I was young, there used to be a book called The Children's Treasure House, and my father gave me that when I was 6. The Children's Treasure House was put out by the Herald and Weekly Times in the 30s. It had the most gorgeous illustrations, poems by Henry Lawson, Robert Louis Stevenson, and I'd memorise the poems. I'd walk around the back streets of Reservoir learning the poems. I thought they were songs rather than poems. And William Blake, I loved William Blake. Little lamb, doth thou know who made thee? Little lamb, I'll tell thee who made thee. He was gentle, he was mild, he was just a little child like thee. And all the Blake poems I'd learn, you know, and my father knew those poems too. So it was just to be shared, and it really was a form of singing.
Your father sounds like a very good man.
He used to come in from the printing factory and read to us, you know.
Wow. Isn't it amazing how the kids are inspired by, you know, and then they take that to another level in their lives?
Well, especially at the age of 6, that's when you're real formative age. You're like a sponge, aren't you?
I couldn't sleep unless Dad read to us.
Is that beautiful?
My brother John and I would be out in the windy bungalow in Reservoir. He'd come out about 8 or something. We'd be asleep in the same skinny little bed together, and he'd sit down and read us Treasure Island. But he'd also do all the sounds of the wind and the waves and
you've had such a beautiful life, and then there comes at a stage in your life when you get down and depressed, and you end up at the Albert Park Clinic. How's that possible for someone so optimistic and so life-loving?
Well, the marriage failed. It was an old marriage. I adored my wife, and it wasn't her fault or my fault, but the fact is the marriage failed. And then that didn't just, not only that was the reason for the breakdown, but I guess overwork, pushing the same program for too long, trying to change the world too quickly, not sleeping. I mean, insomnia is a shortcut to depression, and drugged sleep isn't sleep at all, really. And then I ended up being diagnosed with anxiety, and that was much worse than the depression. It makes you wary, makes you dubious, you lose your panache. You've lost your smile, you don't know where you feel.
And you feel isolated, don't you?
You don't know who you are. No. You've got no history.
After a marriage breakdown, it's such a hard thing to come to terms with a long marriage,
right.
and sleep deprivation. I know so many people that
can't sleep.
And the habit, once you get into that habit of not sleeping, it's just so hard to break that cycle.
Well, my wife had insomnia too, and she used to say, "Come in and tell me a dreary story, would you, and put me to sleep."
So you guys would be feeding off each other with the insomnia.
No,
you give her a story.
No, we're still friends. We're the best friends. But it's a blessing. I feel blessed that I mean, after that also I had a heart attack. So I nearly died of that.
What a tough
And I
time.
thought, well, it's just a blessing. Anything above the ground is a blessing. You know?
Barry, that is so true. You know, when I was in the police force, I had about 3 close calls, and after that, I thought every day is a blessing. When you could have gone, you know, another time, another year. But I was just thinking, you would have been such a breath of fresh air at the at the Albert Clark Clinic? Because your laughter and your positive attitude would have come out.
I don't think so. I don't think I amused those who were much sicker than I was myself. I mean, I really couldn't talk for 8 months.
It was that bad?
I didn't know what I was, and I was given shock treatment against my wishes. I didn't want shock treatment. I really regret having been given it. It does damage to your short-term memory. I'm still forgetful. I mean, we're in Perth, aren't we?
And your media career was so high, and I mean, you must have got a lot of people who were very concerned about you.
Well, there's also a stigma. Even though I've had published a popular memoir on recovery from depression, people still think you're the same, you know. How are you going? How are you coping?
Oh.
And I'm not like that, you know. I've been really good. For 3 years, I haven't had any depression.
No, and you'd be over that, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
You'd feel like saying, shush, move on.
I've been teaching at the Victorian College for the Deaf.
Wonderful.
That's college for the deaf.
Pardon?
And you've taught at so many amazing colleges, Xavier, some Catholic schools.
Right.
Are you Catholic?
No, but I'm guilty. No, the College for the Deaf have hired me as their cartoonist.
Wow.
And the most beautiful children come in. They run into the room. And I've just got a great big whiteboard.
They'd
and
love
this
it.
is preppies, grade ones, you know.
You're a cartoonist, you write plays, you're an author, and you had a column there for a while in the
I've
Age,
written columns for the Herald Sun for 14 years or so.
For a long time.
But now they do interviews with pineapples for a whole page, you know. So.
What were the columns about?
It was light-hearted. The brief was to be light-hearted, to write entertaining, consumable pieces, you know.
And that's what people need, isn't it, Lita? We need a bit of laughter, a bit of light-heartedness.
Although I got a death threat once from one of the articles I wrote in the Herald Sun.
Was it too happy?
No, it was about farting tram conductors. That they did fart too much on the West Preston line. And I said so and got death threats from the Transport Workers Union.
Oh, is that amazing?
So I've always tried to amuse people, not to be too venomous.
No.
You know, but sometimes you make a mistake.
You've got a top attitude, mate, and attitudes are important.
But luckily I've got a witty son who's nothing like me, nothing like his mother. And I can't second guess what he'll say. His name's Louis. And once I said, quite unfairly to him when he was about 7, I said, "What do you think of me?" I'd had a terrible fight with his mother the night before. And he said, "I'm delighted to tell you that I never do."
Oh, and he was only
What
7.
a quick comeback.
What does Louis do now?
Well, he should be practicing as a lawyer, but he's in year 10 at school.
Oh, he's in year 10. We might
But he wants to be a sitcom editor. That's his dream, to edit sitcoms.
Wow, clever cookie.
We'll have a short break, Barry, and we'll find out about your exciting journey. It's Tough Times Never Last. We'll be back very shortly. Don't go away.